I'll give it a second. I'll give it just a second. Say, wait for people to show up. Yeah. All right. Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Thank you for showing up. So I wanted to discuss something, a little different aspects of the Slav epic. Why am I getting into this? Because this is what I was studying prior to the earthquake happening. And I'm like, whoa. Because of looking at the esoteric imagery. And I was thinking about the spiritual power that it imbues. Okay, for instance, I'm looking at, and pull up Slav epic, okay, on Wikipedia. Alrighty, the Slav epic, right? You scroll down and it will show you a list of paintings. All right. Now, Slavs in their homeland. Let's see. Between the Turanian whip and the sword of the Goths. Interesting. That all this Goth stuff is like what I was drawn to again. Guess I'm going to pull up this image. And what I'm looking at, okay, hold on. I told you what the name of the art piece was, right? Okay, hold on. Okay. Slavs in their homeland. So if you have scrolled down to those lists, there's 20 paintings listed, and they're huge in the collection. So during Nazi occupation, this collection became under threat. They were worried it would be grabbed. Czech Republic. So it was guarded, under armed guard to make sure the collection wasn't stolen. Okay. So now you have like let's see, a giant-like being. And he's huge. He's larger than life. He's a giant. He is overlooking the land. He is very tribally dressed. He's wearing an ornamental sword. Okay. He's got, let's see, it looks like two ladies behind him. One's poking her head out, or it might even be a guy, because he looks pretty buff on the left side. Then down below, you have these two ladies who look like they're in sorrow, they're in the middle of a battlefield. And there is someone who has died, they're laying there with the sword sitting on them. And it is a real depiction of seeing what war was like in those countries. So I don't really feel, aside from the Civil War, but definitely not in anything modern, that in the United States, that anyone here really has a concept of what it was like in the old world, and that culture and your people and your connectedness to those people was paramount to your survival on the land. And so personal relationships were a bigger deal. And if you look at, say, what has happened currently, that what is suffering the most is personal connection. So now that was already suffering in society. And with this whole disease scare, whatever, it has just intensified that. And so I think that is why I'm gravitating towards saying, okay, well, you got all the political shit and all this other outside stuff, and everybody knows about that. But what will uplift you is the original root culture. Say, getting into art critiques, art history, humanities in general, things like that. That's more my interest than getting caught up in political bullshit. Because you're going to attract a certain crowd doing that. Okay, so lack of a better term, I am not alt-right. Okay, I am an individual that has a perception of reality. And so getting caught up into these camps, you get caught up into certain philosophical discussion points, and you get trapped there. It becomes stagnant. So you're stuck in negativity versus looking for solutions. You know, most people comprehend that the elite run things. Whoever that is, who's got the money, blah, 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 whatever you want to say. But what can you reach back to? So let's say you get hyper focused on the problem. So now you're fucking stressed out and overwhelmed, blah, blah, blah. But you haven't counterbalanced it with, say, 10 times the positive for the negative. All right? So for instance, for every 10 shows you make one super hardcore political show, for instance, and everything else, 9 times out of 10 is all folk, is all culture, is all, you know, stuff like that. Getting into the deep esoteric meaning. Well, why do I know this? Because I have studied with a lot of different people, as far as online goes, you know. Even for a while, I was looking into some of Tessarian stuff. I'm not saying to go that route or whatever, but he would get into, say, imagery and breaking down symbology and what shit means, you know, multiple esoteric meanings. And he was talking about how we used to think in pictures. And so one picture could mean, you know, it could have a whole bunch of intellectual knowledge and wisdom encoded in one symbol. And if you know that, then you would look and see, let's say you saw a chalice. To another person, oh, that's just a cup, okay? But to the deeper thinking person, that is a representation of the divine feminine and the goddess, and that's how I view it. Okay? So the IO principle is what I boiled it down to, because I kept seeing something repeat. And then I just heard in my head, Robin I-O, right? I-O, 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 that song. Hi-ho, hi-ho, away to work we go, that type of thing. And what's hidden in that I-O? The masculine fire principle and the feminine circle water principle, right? Like a circle you gather in and then the central fire. So a fire could be either feminine or masculine in origin, such as they talk about what, the fire in your head. That, to me, is the folk light of inspiration of the, let's say, uber or oversoul of your tribe. And since we've in many ways, in Northern Europe specifically, fused kind of into one people, because, you know, I look at all of my different bloodlines, and every single one goes back to Northern Europe, right? Even that Belgian line that I was talking about. And then realizing battle fury on top of that. So here I am going into, you know, sovereignty goddess, which is connected to the land. And then lo and behold, what happens? An earthquake. Is that not directly related? Yeah, I would say it is. Now, check this out. Slav epic, right? I'm studying that. A couple days ago, a similar size earthquake that, say, that hit here, hit Croatia. Interesting, isn't it? Here I am studying the Slav epics. So I'm like, what? Something epic is rising. That's the only explanation I can think of. And so I had this kind of spiritual experience vision where I saw, like I described, the planet of the Volvas and how powerful those beings were. And so they look at, you know, they say fairy tale, folk culture is just a fairy tale, is it? But if that spiritual power is real, you know, is it a risk? Say, what if that power is real and I'm up here talking about it? Could that turn me into a potential target? Sure. But I don't think so. Those beings would be so powerful, they could not be destroyed, ever. They are pure energy. So I thought, well, what would they do? This is how my brain works. Would they get a goddamn pulse cannon, fire it at one of these vulvas that's floating, and how would that work? Well, if she can break down base element, she would be able to absorb the energy and then change it, transform it, redirect it. Base principles say Aikido. So think about that in relation to your feelings and emotions. Why do I know these things? I have thought about it a lot. But I end up feeling like my ideas will just be taken. No one will give me credit for even having a perception or anything, and they'll just go run with it and then try to make money on it. They don't care about me as an individual. And I don't want to be a part of a scene where people act like that. So I'd rather have a small group of people that are really passionate than to have a whole bunch of people that are, just there in general, but they don't have any potency or commitment to what has happened. And I thought about that, see, as a massage therapist, do I just want to work on whoever? No. I want to have a specific focus, right? I thought about, well, maybe I'll just work on older ladies because I don't have to worry about getting hit on by gay guys. Yeah, that's an issue for me because I don't want the sexual attention. Doesn't mean I hate gay people. I'm just not comfortable working on men like that. They're going to do that. An injury, injury is different. I'm helping somebody recover from injury or whatever, So I gravitated toward things that required sensitivity and awareness naturally. Unfortunately, my mom culminated creativity in writing, and that is in my family, especially my grandmother, who was, pretty much a professional writer, in her own way. She's a professional secretary in her day, but she knew the English language up, down, left, right, and center. Didn't matter. Remember one story I heard my mom told me. She said, and this was a long time ago, but this tall black gentleman needed some help with, notice how respectfully I said that. Yep. So he asked my grandmother, who was Irish, he's a black man. When you think about the history of that in the United States, that Irish people were treated less than a slave, right? So there would have been a fusion and connection with culture there at some point because you're on the same level socially as someone else. And they would have dance-offs in the street, but aside from that, thinking about the level of literacy, the level of communication level. I keep repeating, but communications was more important, right? Spoken word was more important. And that's what I think we need to bring back. Because what is the connection to, say, a robot voice versus a human voice? Big difference to me. Do we get to the point where everything is just a self-generated matrix image? I hope not. But if you become so techno-heavy, how could you even perceive of a greater spiritual existence? You couldn't, and you won't. Unless you are passionate about that. You have that spark, right? And I have that spark. But it was been hard. That's been through suffering. But I've held it. And I said, I choose love of family and friends because that's all I will have at the end of this existence. So why get caught up in superficial horse shit? So if any good thing happened from all this weird scare stuff, is it woke people up to reality. And you're going to notice something about me. Bobcat already knew that and was awake and was being ignored. Why would that upset me? Think about it. My heart's on fire. I am aware. And that is hard, to be sitting back aware and watching destruction happen, knowing what people will do in advance. That's a Robin Hood, mentality. He knows, and he'll come and warn you, but you might not listen or notice, and you may disregard wisdom when it steps to you. I only stayed out of compassion to help other people because I saw people lost in negativity. And I'm like, no, don't do that, man. You're going to get lost. And since I love and care about my friends, if you're really my friend, that's why I made a big deal about it. It's huge to me. Friends growing up was loyalty was huge. And so that is why what that guy did after knowing him as long as I had, over 30 years, to have betrayal on that level. Wow. And now consider what it would be like intertribally, where another tribe decides they're going to join Rome or whatever and then turn on another tribe for position, jealousy, whatever. Instead of earning it, they do it through deception and dominance. And I see that same warlord mentality. The tech has improved, the mentality hasn't. It has stayed the same. That's why in, say, military training handbooks, it's going to go back to a certain principle of function. So it doesn't really matter, But now, with the advent of tech and drones and robots, you end up in a almost Terminator-like situation where there's no more human element. So how do you even negotiate with a fucking Terminator? You don't. They have an agenda, they have a focus, and that robot is fucking programmed. So it's either you have the strength to resist or you don't. Now, consider on a emotional, spiritual, psychological level that that's the situation. Do you want to become a Borg Terminator robot? Or do you want to be a full-flavored folk soul? I'm just saying. That's my opinion. So I say, revive the culture. And it's a big deal to me. Since my dad died, and I take it personally. It doesn't take much to affect me like that, because I know. And those are my family roots. So if I'm walking around rootless, it's like not having an anchor. The moment that the sea shakes, I won't be able to hold ground. Or my legs are too weak, so I can't stand. And that's why on a spiritual level, we tuning into each other, if we're going to sit here and say, we're a tribe, we're family, we're love. Okay, well then be that. That's what I am. That's why it's painful for me sometimes, because I realize other people are not going to get me. They are not like that. Or they'll be caught up in some dumbass philosophy that has nothing to do with ancient root. And I start getting frustrated and angry. Like, what are these idiots doing? They aren't promoting the culture. Okay? It's constantly railing on something else. But what about your own culture? That needs to be central. Everything else is secondary. Think about the online community like we all live in a town together, all right? We're like, yeah, we're into the same shit, cool. And so moving forward, I think I'm just going to keep deepening my focus on folk culture. And if that's your wheelhouse and your specialty, then that is what you need to centrally promote. And stop worrying about all this other horse shit. It doesn't matter. You need to stay wise. And that is the point. The wise woman in the wood is generally focusing on wisdom, right? You need to be aware of what's going on in the perimeter. But I would say it is, for me, intellectually, philosophically, it is safer for me to return to ancient root. That is the point. Grandmother Volova, so circling around, back to what I was talking about before now that I remember. You had two base principles. You had light and life, and then you had negativity, destruction, all the other shit, war, fucking whatever. But it's not true love of tribe and family, which is the central core to the light of the Volva. That is her power, period. And that's how I feel. She is base element connected. She can control the forces of nature. That has zero to do with a magi from Persia. Thank you very much. Says that people have no use of any other further terminology, so they use that. You're like, you boiled it down to that point? Yes, I have. I'll keep the I don't need the rest. I-O. That is the central core. The circle, the gathering place. What is there? What is the energy? I'm going to go look at another painting. I was sitting here staring at that painting the whole time. You can see him in his studio. It says Alphonse Mucha, working on the cycle in 1920. Right? So this is prior to World War II. Right? This is prior to the economic collapse. Now, what will be in 13 years? 1933. Huh. Yeah, because 100 years from the establishment of the Federal Reserve was 1913, just pointing out facts. And this guy, Alphonse Mucha, was the center, like one of the number one, I would say, uber artists of his entire country. And it was his passion to create those epic pieces. His life, what was it, 18 years he spent creating those? That is a long time. Think about the level of mental focus it took to do that. And look at your average human, and you tell me what the issue is. Have we evolved, or have we become lazy, dependent, and devolved in our cultural awareness? Right? What is suffering? Oh, it's culture. Have I hit the nail on the head yet? I've been saying this. I've been ignored. Right? That's what's hurting me. I said, really? God. This is what you say is important, but your focus is not on that. It's on the negative. Right? How does that build folk soul light or any form of self-defense? It doesn't. Emotionally, it sets a negative tone and tears people down. And this is something I need to be aware of. As my mom would tell me, you need to have 10 positives for every one negative. Okay, for instance, a kid does something you don't like. So you rail on the kid negative after negative. They don't learn shit. They learn to avoid you. See the difference? Works the same way as an adult. Switching through, looking at these different... the coronation of the Serbian Tsar, Stefan Dusan, as East Roman Emperor. So there's your Roman override. And you're going to see Gothic architecture, right? High arched ceilings, all that type of stuff. Where did this construction for buildings come from? This is what I'm talking about. It's superficial. You're not going into any depth. There is no art analysis. Are you getting my point yet? We need PhD level. Not little kid kindergarten bullshit. That's what a lot of channels are to me, and so I don't go there. or it's like a nasally toned voice that I just can't fucking stand to listen to. Anyway, today in Dry Cardboardville, fuck that. That sucks ass. I don't want to listen to that shit. So I don't. Am I uber a little bit snobby about the channels I go to? No, I would say snobby, but I'm very selective. I have to be detail oriented. Ooh. Where did this concept of, say, auras, being around people's heads come from? Huh? Folk, soul, light. Treble light. Now, the big one. This one was the one that blew my mind. So if you're there on the paintings, right? Slav Epic, Wikipedia, give you a sec. You there? I'll feel it. Send me a vibe. The oath of Mladina under the Slavic linden tree. That reminds me of a person that I know. Well, I don't know them, you know what I mean, but I know them. A certain lady reminds me of that being, or as a connection to what I would consider the sovereignty goddess. You have different representations, symbology in the painting. Okay. Again, the oath of Mladina under the Slavic linden tree. She is enthroned upon the tree. She has the people circling around under the tree. Huh. Wow. She is in a white dress. Huh? Queen Vulva? Yes, I think so. And what's above her? Some kind of large bird of prey, a hawk or a falcon or something. Overseeing the land. What does that symbolize? Vision. Vulva and vision are related directly. That's why I brought it up today in the chat. But as I say, I'm more esoteric and spiritual rather than focused on all this technical, political shit. Because what are you going to have to go back to if, okay, you've developed all your political knowledge and you're focused on that, but you haven't developed your intuition? And that push forward at becoming epic is being centered in that folk soul light and radiating that light out to your people. You have to be very, very centered to do that. You don't get distracted by astral realm interference, as I call it, or individuals targeting you in an esoteric group, like say a coven gets together and decides we're going to F with this person, right? I think that's being cowardly because you're using the entire group's energy against one person, but people do it, right? Then they think they're strong. They're not. That's being weak, in my opinion. If you're going to do that, challenge somebody one-on-one at a, close to your same power level. That's more honorable. It's like the big bully beats the hell out of a little kid. Does that mean he's tough? No, it doesn't. It means he abused his power. So say you are at a intellectual tier. Equate that to like physical size and strength and potency. And you either are not using that to your full ability, or you're lording it over others and being abusive to them rather than lifting them up, right? Being fearful. And then if you have poor discernment, then you attack the good people. Who does that leave you with? Not good influences. That would be an excellent art piece to have, say, on a cover page. The Oath of Mladina under the Slavic linden tree. I would love to hear you cover this. And that person knows who they are. So, what am I saying? Whoa. Here's another one. Apotheosis of the Slavs. It's, spelled like slaves, but I'm going to say Slavs. And you got this guy, he's larger than life, right? Young guy, strong. There's an older man behind him. And then there's a rainbow in the background, all right? But wow, for like this whole very spiritual, esoteric aspect to the art. It's like there is a soul and spirit infused into what this guy did. And I feel that. When I look at his art, and this is what I'm talking about, there's something that transcends normal art, and it becomes a sacred spiritual space that is created. I think we can do that digitally to a point. Will it be to the level of being that supreme? No. But you see consistently shows people dressed in white or wearing, nature scenes or some kind of flower crown, not all the time. This one has, a U.S. flag in the background and a couple other flags. But keep in mind, this was done in the 1920s. Anyway, I wanted to discuss that. And I'm flipped back now, I can see myself on camera again. That's what I think that the road forward is figuring out what archetypes would be good to discuss. How can we discuss roots and culture and make that the primary focus? That's going to keep you away from problems. Right? Well, the political shit gets you into trouble. And then it puts your channel at risk. I can discuss things, I can have an opinion, right? But you end up with a militant type personality of men who want to come and vent because they're frustrated or whatever. And so they want to perch on your channel and start spouting off in your chat room. That cannot be allowed anymore. And that is what they're going to do. Everybody's amped. You can expect that type of behavior to increase. And I saw it today and I didn't like it. A certain person in the chat room doing that shit. And it puts you at risk. I'm not going to even go into details, but that is why I stated highest conduct is needed. Yes, it is. And the bar needs to be raised. And that is the whole point of why I renamed my channel and I put Uber right there. Supreme, not, cardboard, boring bullshit. Does that mean that you need to burn yourself out? No, it means the opposite. You can have potency and still be, calmly spoken. But, have some energy, but don't burn yourself out. Do not set a negative emotional tone or charge. That's how I look at it. Emotions are like energy charges. What do you want to charge in, say, your people and yourself? I want to charge folk culture. Like, think about Tesla. I'm going to charge a battery up, right? And then, it gets you amped, and from time to time you got to do that. But people need to be wise moving forward. Everybody's tension level's gone up, which means the officer is more likely to shoot to kill versus negotiate if he thinks you're a diseased fucking zombie. Right? He or she is already on edge. Most of the time it's a guy, right? Okay, so I don't know. I'm not saying that's necessarily the case, but you look at stress and tension levels. I think about, I met a Vietnam vet, all right? And he hated the fucking 4th of July. And I'll tell you why. Because every 4th of July, he would get triggered by all the fireworks and shit. It reminded him of gunfire and fucking whatever, being in a war zone. So to everybody else that's never been in a fucking war zone, oh yeah, it's the 4th of July, but him, he's like, this fucking sucks. So he told me he got to the point where he had to leave the fucking cities, or it would just trigger the shit out of him. And so I think about that in, say, a dense, populated area, and then some major shit happens, fucking whatever, either a natural disaster or disease or fucking whatever it is. And so trust level starts to go up, and they're focusing on fear and mental process and not listening to intuition. And if you are scrambling around in fear, what is the likelihood that you can be manipulated and misdirected? Or misdirect yourself like a pinball machine? Very easy. Because most people are emotionally undeveloped. This is my expertise. That's why I talk about it. I know because I've had to suffer and watch my mom suffer. I learned. That was important, and I was taught to analyze my internal process, to be responsible for my emotions. And that tool has been essential in my development. Without that, you're just going to walk around pointing the finger at everybody else, to your reactivity, which is the majority of the problem is, I think, to be honest, I think it's men. Because we, hyper-aggressive, overreactive, right? And then the difference between a man that thinks like that versus me. But I could still be emotionally sensitive and then become reactive. So being aware of that, then I need to find a channel, right? And I got into the Mary Ovenstone video, okay? Maybe I can cover that if I mention it. And she has some books and other things, right? But she had her son, and she wanted to raise him the best she possibly could. So she did 7 years of research on the biological differences between men and women. That became a major talking point for me because I got tired of hearing that there was no difference. Bullshit. There was physical difference. Even down to like from nerve structure to individual shape of parts of the brain. That fucking blew my mind. I was like, whoa. Because it was a puzzle. It was a harmonic resonance. That's why I said, if you are trying to date somebody who has not developed themselves, you're going to have a very hard time relating to that person. Whether that is a woman or a man, you're going to have to, and so are you compatible? Should be the first thought versus how much money does he make? That's generally the first fucking question. What do you do for a living? That equates to how much money you got. Here. I don't like that shit. I think it's fucking superficial. And this society's kind of taught that, So the guy gets this concept that if I'm the big money, then you're just going to fall over yourself and spread your legs for him. Fuck that. No. Does he have a good folk soul? If he does not, no. And I have the same rule. If she does not have a good folk soul, I am not interested. She must hold virtue, or it is not worth it. How could she possibly be a wife, let alone a mother, without having strong virtue? It is not going to happen. And then sex turns into a fucking toy, rather than a way to establish a family. Your grandparents would be horrified by that shit. That would not have been acceptable in their day. So I would say, I would rather just be single than to be in a bad relationship. Or it's just based on superficial bullshit. Get your rocks off and move the fuck on. Is that what it is? No thanks. And I've had women treat me that way before in the past. So I'm like, you know what? No thanks. See ya. But it's this syndrome of both men and women doing it. Seeking pleasure rather than dealing with what the core issues are. Because true love takes effort. 100%. You have to purify yourself and be willing to say value love over money. Those are your choices. So that's how I view it. And I want love. Love's more important to me than money. I don't give a shit. If I have enough to live and survive, that's what matters. You know, study, do what I enjoy. It doesn't take being a millionaire or a billionaire to do. Not to mention that you are now raising your profile. The more money you have, the more target you become. I saw this with artists too. So you become more and more separated from the crowd because there's too many fucking people. And so these channels they're just generalizers. They're not connected to their crew. They're not connected to their culture. They're not connected to the folk. They are representing a veneer. But it's mainly, I hear political talk and all these fucking alt-right shows. How much cultural shit do I hear about? Almost fucking nothing. And the moment, like I started to see it go that direction, I lost interest. Think about why. Because the core element of the culture is being neglected, while negativity is the key note. That's fucking depressing. I don't want to be depressed 24/7. It's a hard goddamn life. I need something to look forward to. Here? That's the center. That is the focus. Anything else is secondary. Folk soul development. Period. End of statement. What are you going to have to protect yourself and hold on to? It's going to be what you know. And at the end of the day, you're not going to give a goddamn when Trump took a shit on the toilet. You're not going to fucking care. You're going to care about stuff like the Slav epic. Shit like that. That is cultural and important and symbolic. As an example, I'm not saying every art piece there. You can see a Christian overlay on some shit, right? But then you see on certain ones a heavy pagan element, esoteric, spirit of the land connection. And that is the folk soul of the people. And I think it is hard for me because I know that. But I see people lost in illusion. Whether that is a religious comatose, thinking you know everything, you've got the truth. But where does it come? It starts with individual development, working on your own virtues that you hold internally. And that's what I've been doing for quite a long time. Holding a folk flame that is potent versus weak. That's not going to keep you warm. No. I think the key forward is building culture and connection. I've known that. I've been saying it. That's why you see that as generally the direction I'm going. But, I have to mix it up. I don't want to become too stagnant, read all the time, or just sit down all the time, or whatever, I think it's a longing to have that tribal connection. And it hurts me emotionally because I feel it. And I just say, man, why are all these people so distracted on being angry and negativity? Battle fury is one thing, standing up for yourself, but it becomes a drudgery where it is a miserable fucking existence, and I don't want that. I need love, man. This shit's hard. Like, if this does fall apart, what vibe do you want to send out? Say your last, like if I had one last song, what would I sing? Well, I would dedicate that to true love, because that's the core. I don't see anything else that is worth it at this point for me. You know? That's why I got sensitive about it. I'm like, started getting an attitude. I'm like, yeah, no one's listening to me anyway. I might as well just leave, right? And I kind of got that way for a while. I was like, well, guess I'm just the uneducated dumbass out here that nobody wants around. And all I was saying, I want to think about my core message, was true love, positive energy, right? Getting down to the core values of what folk culture is, or at least making an attempt to do so. How was that treated? It was disregarded and ignored. And then seen as a threat. Because discernment was not being utilized. And discernment is connected to your emotions and intuition. And that is why spiritual development is alpha, but it's being treated as secondary, and grandpa's getting put on the back burner, and grandma is too, and she don't like it. So what's going to happen? Eventually, grandpa and grandma are going to spank the booty. They're going to get tired of being ignored. Base wisdom. I feel that resonate as though they are standing directly behind me while I'm talking. You're like that intense? Yes. So, boiling down to what is the pure folk root, that should be the focus, in my opinion. Overcomplicating it is just creating confusion, right? It's fractaling out the energy of the tribe. Now, if you're a focal point, you're absorbing that energy, what are you doing with it? Besides filling yourself with everybody else's light. Hear what I said? No. Does that mean you can't radiate? No. What does Robin Hood signify? Connection to the land, spirit of the land. Period. That's what I am. Root to core. It's what we are. Base element, folk, soul, memory, living, light. It's my opinion. That's how I view it. But depending on intention, there will be a radiance of folk, soul. Look at that guy's artwork. What do you see consistent? Right? How does fear affect your frequency? If you're focused on fear, you're not focused on higher function. Again, back to the core. True love. And that is the keynote. Right there. That's what I want. I don't care about anything else. True love of family, right? Tribe, and definitely of the woman I select to be my wife. And that does not mean she is secondary, no. And in fact, that means she is elevated, because that's how I view women, as sacred. It makes me want to cry, but I do. Women have been the main difference in why I survived, emotionally, whatever. I look at what my mom went through. And so people who were not children of somebody who suffered the level of abuse my mom did would never comprehend it. But it made a permanent impact on me. So it became a trigger, right? Abusive people, bullies, assholes like that, I just fucking don't have tolerance for it. They don't understand the visceral feeling of what an abuse victim goes through. It is the total loss of power, and it is directly related to the whole warlord mentality. They don't love you, they don't care, whatever. Pick a race of people. It doesn't matter. It's the goddamn mentality to not care how somebody else feels. And if you're doing that to your own tribe, what's that say about you? Right? You can make your money. Okay, you can survive. But the base element has to be the base element root. And you need to acknowledge others, like such as myself. Look at all the effort I've made. How much acknowledgement do I get? Almost none. That's not why I'm doing it, but that's the truth. So the one or two people that notice me are a big deal to me, right? Yeah, it is. I nearly walked away from this recently. I was like, man, nobody cares. All about money and fear and fucking politics. They don't give a goddamn about true love. And that is the essence of Robin Hood. So how can you sit there and say you are into Robin Hood and you do not comprehend what true love is? That is an issue on a personal level. And I, who lives the Robin Hood ethos, know that. That's a fact. So what's the essence of why you're unhappy? Because you don't have true love. Wow. It should be wow. And why don't you? You are fearful and unassertive as a woman, and that is why you don't have pure love. You didn't seek it out. You got distracted, or man. But I'm speaking to women right now, and one in particular, who decided I wasn't important and disregarded me out of fear. And that hurt me to the core, but I accepted it. But I said, you know what? I see enough in that person that's salvageable that I'll come back. Because I love that person and they're my friend. I see enough goodness there that she is worth saving. But if she were an evil bitch, sorry, for lack of a better term, I don't mean to be rude. Notice I don't speak of ladies that way. If she were an evil sorceress, then she wouldn't give a shit about my heart. In fact, she would use true love as a weapon. Is that not what happened? What is the first thing that was attacked in Snow White? Puts her to sleep, right? True love was attacked. There was a separation created. Now you can look at that on an individual level or on a macro tribal level. It's related. Say you are in a tribe that is filled with people who are into true love, they're not going to betray. But then you get warlord people, but they don't care about love. They will take the beautiful women like, a cattle to own. That's what fucking happened. And I can only imagine what those women went through. I don't know, but it must have been fucking horrific. That is why somebody like Robin Hood coming to their, to help them, or maybe they save him. Maybe he's about to fucking die, and she walks up with true love and her, just a radiance of energy within her and around her. Saved his life. Now what happens when she becomes conscious of that power? Yeah, that's a power she has that Robin does not. That's why he seeks her out. And so I feel that a majority of women will choose money and position, and they don't give a damn about true love because they don't know. And to me, that is the height of immaturity and distraction. As I said, true love is the core of all folk culture. Period. And that's why I just kept going off on that, because I saw it being ignored. So I say, go uber goth and go for the epic. And I'm more interested in, say, Nordic, Celtic culture in general, Slavic culture, that includes that too, old world culture, versus, Greek and Roman, that's, emphasized over and over again everywhere. All I ever want is true love to say. All I ever needed was your love. I was laying on the battlefield, ready to die now. Radiant as the sun, saw it coming down my way. She said, rise on up, I love you so. I said, that's the only reason I kept going on, was for your love. Shake on down, I was waiting for you, see. So don't be blinded by fear, no, by the ravages of war. All I had left was a folk soul. Anyway it goes, way down. All I ever needed, all I ever wanted, all I ever know was true love's flame. Shining we folk soul. Robin I am in the greenwood glen. Oh, true love shining in the woodland. Be what you looking for anyway, Robin? You know who I'm always looking for. Which of the wood, radiant shining in the side of the dawn. Sir, soft floating over the woodland. Yeah. No, easy on the breeze. Easy on the breeze, baby, come on home, baby. I've been waiting down by the riverside, watching the ripples on the pond, yeah. Sitting by the old oak tree, waiting for true love to be. Maybe I'll be sitting there for a long while. She was worth it all the way, yeah. I'm just an elf ranger in the woodland bee. Robin, I am all. Won't you shine your ever-loving light in me, my love? for free. Oh, you're waiting down in the woodland blue. It's a war-torn land. She said, come on with me. We're gonna survive. All I had left was free folks all in the woodland, yeah. I think I heard you calling on the breeze. Which of the wood? 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 Which in the wood now? Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think she said, Uber on up. Was a wise woman in the woodland. They said they want a butter in the place. She said, I am the flame. Shaking like a leaf. Shake on, shine. True love's flaming. They forgot me a long time ago, Robert Lyon. They forgot me a long time ago. Said I don't exist anymore. I'm right here. True love to stay. True love. True love to stay. Oh. You dance the fire with me. Sway, my lady, sway. Sway, my lady, sway. Round the circle with me. Ancient is a call. Ancient is a call. Robin, I am lady of the green steers. Won't you walk my way? Says no. Easy on the breeze. True love is stay. True love is stay. Epic on the way. I can see you floating over the countryside. Which of the wood shining my heart and soul 100%. True love stay. True love, true love, true love. Because I am down there by the pound, skipping stones, watching the ripples come in and come out. Roll on in, roll on out. Folks away, folks so rhythm on the way. How I am. Which of the world? Which of the woodland? Queen of Elfame. Which of the world? I saw it floating there. You're on fire. You're on fire. Shining with the radiance of a folk soul. Say you will hold the flame. True love, true love, true love the sky. It's way deep down in the woodland. My love. True love, all I ever wanted, all I ever needed, yeah. Hopping like a frog on a log by the palm beach. Hey, hey, Robin, now I am. Robin, I, oh, 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 I am. Way down. I am down in the woodland deep, which of the wood shines, shines, shines. That song was for you. Thank you for coming. Specifically. And for the greater folk culture and tribe. True love is the central note, period. What's that mean? 100%. All the way. You know what that's worth. All right, that was deep. That's how I feel. I'd rather be honest. That way, my art has potency because it is real, and it is how I feel, and it is visceral, and it is not an act at all. It's who I am. And then I used to think that had no value. That's why I started to get depressed. Man, nobody values anything anymore. But then I thought, no, there are people out there that do. I just have to make sure I'm hanging out with them. I don't want to be around people with no soul, no passion, especially not now. Or people that are hyper-driven into negativity and blah, blah, blah. Sending a central resonance and note, and I want that to be true love. You got it? Maybe I can be an example of that, even if I don't get to have it, for whatever reason. At least other people can see a good example of what they could do, you know? But I feel that will happen eventually. It's kind of a sad note where I was like, man, that will never happen now. I can't have that attitude. Somehow, some way, Robin always finds a way, even in the most difficult situations. And guess what? I found a way. So I'm saying, on a folk soul level, maybe you can't physically travel, but your energy can. Just be mindful of how you use it. It can be abused. All right? So that's Robin's message. I hope you liked it. What should we listen to? I need something. That was hardcore. But that is what the essence of where I'm going, and that is what it is. And I want to see other people do the same thing and not just use it to make fucking money because they feel that way. And I feel it viscerally. That's why I react that way, because I just am so tired of bullshit and no love and just distracted horse shit. Overreacting on people, it's fucking abusive of your tribe to do that. And to be that out of it and not even realize that you are doing that is mind-blowing. Okay, so let's see. Micure Ella is what I'm being drawn to by Relapse Records. Okay. Mercure, same artist, Myrkur. All right. And now I'm going to click on that now that I've given the propas to Relapse Records. So this has 237,000 views. All right, get that off of there. Give it a thumbs up and a thank you to the channel. Okay. Skip-a-doo. What's my dream? Folk music. That's my dream. And find a woman that loves it as much as I do. Ranges. So you go to Mercure, Ella, Official Audio, whatever. It's I think it's on her channel. Oh, it's on Relapse Records. So I'm going to subscribe to that channel right here. Epic on the web, epic on the web. Oh. I find Mercury to be very inspirational, very epic.
We have stayed till in how
Wow. That's what I'm talking about. So, wow, that was amazing. Powerful. Oh, nope, we're not doing that. Okay. That was cool. I like that. I like her. I'm picky with my artists. If they don't have passion, I just go, yeah, whatever. You know what I'm saying? And the folk artists have to fight harder to get attention, you know what I'm saying? Instead of being a big pop artist. Especially somebody like her is more similar to me, where she's, generally an independent artist to a point, She's got a lot of views on her channel, whatever. A lot of subscribers, all that kind of thing, I guess. Like somebody kind of like Jonah Jinton, where she ended up now, she's got like 1 million subs. But how many of those people could she actually possibly connect to without total burnout? Consider that for a second. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's nice that you would have 1 million subscribers and all this shit, but you get too big and you're losing connection with the crowd. And I think that is an issue. I see that as an issue. So it's like, even in your individual town, you would have been more connected to, say, your local Volva or your local, artist, musician type, and that would have kind of been, in my opinion, in a similar bubble, because music was spiritual in nature from the beginning. Of course, that is my opinion. That is why it is visceral to me, right? That is why I don't commercialize a lot of my stuff. That way I can keep the sacred element to it. But going forward, I go, well, what do I do? This is what I'm good at, but I don't want to put it up for sale. So what does that leave me with? Being able to create, make things, something. Like I can, I know someone who could laser print on wood, engrave, right? So that is an option. But I have no one that would want it. No one's showed any interest. I've stated that a couple different times. or contacted me. I've given my email multiple times. Nobody wants to work with me. So I said, okay, I guess I'm on my own. But I did that because I didn't want to be corrupted. And then I saw unwise choices being made, you know. So I said, well, probably safer just to do my own thing and not get involved in that. Like I could say, print covers for some kind of a heritage book, but instead of helping me, they'll just steal my idea and then go find somebody else because I'm not good enough. And that seems to be the ongoing message that I have received from most people, is that they don't value me or want my opinion. So I said, all right, well, guess I'll leave. But then I said, well, maybe eventually some people will come around. And if I hang out long enough and send my message consistently enough, maybe I'll be heard over the crowd and maybe I won't. And that's what I decided. If they don't want true love, they don't want me. Because that's the essence of who I am. Period. And that's what I saw being lost and trampled on was love. And that's when you allowed fear to overcome wisdom. And then you are not listening to your intuition. Now, if you're a woman, that's even a bigger deal. Because you're trying to act like a man, and your brain structure is not designed for it. So you're fighting your own internal harmony, that's my opinion, of course, by doing that, being in denial of your womanly power and intuition. And that is where you need to be centered. Why are you out of balance? Because you are not doing that. What is the essence of the sovereignty goddess? What is the essence of, say, the ancient grandmother? It's love. Again, back to true love. Why you smile when you see a picture of your grandmother who was kind to you or something, right? Or your grandfather, for that matter. And that is the keynote of what I am sending as a message. And with that said, I'm going to get off. Maybe I'll come back in a little while, meditate on folk soul. And I felt a good vibe, a very strong vibe on this one. Strong energy in the web of word, for to say. I am true love, that is my essence. And if people don't want that, then I accept that. But I will find someone who will. And it will happen. I know it will. But if I allow fear and doubt to step in, it won't happen. It goes for everyone. But I'm speaking to a specific person directly, and she knows who she is. I've made that very clear. Friends are fine. And if friends is all you can have, then that's what it is. But on a folk soul level, you could still say be connected to somebody through the web of word, as I call it, the greater soul of your tribe. You yourself, that individual, your grandparents, so on and so forth. And then you are connected and united on a spiritual level, not just, through speech and what you talk about. And that's how I feel. So, Robin I.O. says, root down, fly high, and the central core is always true love. True love, right? Repeat that. True love. Back it up. Make it easy. The central core is what? Is true love. Staying true. True-hearted. That is the core. So hopefully that little ripple I sent out will have an effect. I think it will. I think it already has. All right. Thank you. Take care. Circle around.